Okay, well, welcome back to New South Christians. My name's David Fuqua. We hadn't been on in a while. We had spring break, and it seems like some students are still on spring break, waiting for them to return. Next week will be the third week, I think, so that's pretty cool. But here's a student that not only came back on time, but she's also a good student. I think she's very opinionated. I had her in economics last semester, and I've got her in economics this semester, and she's finishing her first year, right? Her name's Sarah, and so I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll get rolling, and looking forward to it. So go for it.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Keefer. I am from Greenbrier, Tennessee. I've lived there my whole life. Yep, and I'm an economics major here at Ball State, and this is my freshman year.
All right, well, good. Well, how's your first year gone?
It's gone pretty good. I like it. I think it's gone better than I expected.
So, that's pretty cool. What did you expect?
I guess there's kind of like a stereotype around like community college, and I was expecting it to be sort of boring and kind of like high school. But it's definitely a lot better, and I think it's definitely not boring, and I enjoy it. So,
well, we're kind of odd, aren't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
I think the faculty's kind of like that too, because if you look at the statistics, I think it's like 51% of people in the United States, their college experience is with community college.
Yes.
And for the number one reason, obviously affordability as far as that goes. Yeah. And I know that from the time I've been here, and I've been here a long time, I've been on the promotion hiring committee, so I get to see the background of a lot of people applying. And it even blew me away. I mean, there's a lot of really good people. Yeah. And the good part about us, I think it is, our mission is just trying to help you. We're not here to, write papers, have to get published and compete with stuff. Yeah. So it pretty much is just the faculty and you. So it's kind of cool. Well, anyway, I'm looking forward to getting started. We're going to do something a little different on the last part, but we'll start off the same. If you haven't been with us in a while, New South Christians, just to re-explain it, it basically grew out of, I don't know, I was sitting in church one day, and I had a history minor back in the day, and for all my life, because my parents are from, one's Greenbrier, one's Springfield, the typical couple, and it was just, I was always told this is the Bible Belt. My grandmother, everything ended with, you're going to burn in hell. If you lie, you're going to burn in hell. If you're going to do this, you're going to burn. I mean, she was a sweet woman, but it was always judgment. That's all there was. And then I was fortunate. We grew up in the military, so we traveled all over the place. And to be honest with you, my parents weren't the most, I hate to use the word religious, but they didn't demand a lot from us. Like, for example, so this is, I don't know, are we the same conservative Christians we were? And that's kind of where the podcast came from. It's called New South. Like, you are the New South Christians. Like 100 people a day are moving here from all over the country. Well, are they bringing Jesus with them? Are they bringing a conservative spiritual value? As many of the guests I've had on here, they've been pagans, atheists, agnostics, Catholics, different versions of Catholic, Muslim. I mean, everything but Christian. And so some people argue that this wave that's coming in is killing Jesus, and that your generation being the biggest one, because there's 80-something million of it, Gen Z, so how you go is how the country goes. So when you hear that, what do you think? And do you even go to church? I don't know.
Yes, I do go to church. I actually go to Long Hollow in Hendersonville, but I grew up going to just a small church in my hometown. And then I kind of didn't go to church for like a couple years around like the pandemic. And then I started going back to church again, or in like 2021.
Now, not to be too nosy, but did you stop going because of the pandemic?
No,
I mean, like wearing a mask and afraid you were going to get infected?
I kind of stopped going because of the pandemic. Like, obviously, we couldn't attend in person anymore. Sure. Yeah. So we kind of just stopped going, like, as a family and stuff like that. And then I personally decided to go back to church in around like 2021, 22, somewhere around there. And I have a lot of friends that go to Long Hollow in Hendersonville.
So I mean, most of the people listening to this, they live in this area. They know Long Hollow. I mean, it's huge. It's massive. It's down there near Beach High School on Long Hollow Pike, et cetera. I haven't heard the pastor preach. It's one of the churches I wanted to visit soon, because I've been visiting a lot in this area just to see what it's like. He seems like a pretty dynamic guy. Actually, kind of an imposing guy. I mean, the beard, the big, like that, but very positive.
Yeah, I really like him. And I think one of the reasons why I do really like him is he actually teaches like biblical truth, not like feel good, you know, gospel. And I think that's something that like, especially like our generation like really needs, is like, we don't need something to make us feel good, you know, or necessarily like, I think conviction is really important. Like there's two different, like there's shame and then there's conviction, which is two different things.
Yeah.
Shame is like guilt, like feeling bad about yourself, which is not something that, you know, God intended for us to feel. Like that's not what he wants for us. But conviction is kind of just like realizing that like, you know, like you are a sinner and that like, you know, he's here to like help you to get through that. And he kind of like teaches you like through that rather than, I guess, like your more like conservative, like smaller churches, a lot of it is like condemning. Like you do this, you go to hell.
Like my grandmother.
Yes. Yes.
You described her to the T.
And I've experienced people that like live their lives like that, but I think that that's not how like we were intended to like live our lives.
Wow, that's cool. Now, do you just go to the main sanctuary and just listen to sermons, or do you go to a youth group? Because I know you're what, 19, 20?
Yeah, I'm almost 19.
Okay, almost. All right.
Yeah. But I go on Sundays, like in the main like church, and then they also have a young adults group that I go to, and then they also have I have in a life group that I attend. I haven't actually gone in a couple weeks, but I do attend every now and then. Yeah.
Well, the reason why I asked is because one of the things I've found from doing this podcast is a lot of the people that have sat where you sat sound very convicted, you know, want to be a good Christian or whatever. Basically want to have a spiritual experience at church. They want to get to know Jesus. They want to walk with Jesus, etc. But a lot of them complain that, particularly when they go to big churches, a lot of times it's kind of like a rock concert. You know, we're going to have 4 or 5 praise and worship songs. I'm going to do a 35-minute, you know, sermon, and then we're going to out the door, and hey, we got coffee and donuts in the front. And it's kind of, you know, they're like, okay, when am I going to encounter Jesus? You know, and I want the Spirit to flow. And they said it's more of a just kind of a concert almost put together.
I can see.
I'm not saying he's that way because I haven't seen him preach,
but I can understand that. Like I can see that because it can be that way. I think the main way to like combat that is like getting in community in the church. Right. If you just attend on Sundays and you don't talk to anybody and you just sit in a church service, listen to what they have to say, and then leave, I think it's hard to like the main way that I've been able to like find like Jesus and get to know him more is through community. Yeah. Obviously like listening to church like sermons and like the pastor is really like helpful. Right. But whenever you like deepen that connection with community, it's so much more meaningful.
And I agree with 100% because we've talked about this in class. Something about your generation, I'm sorry, but they cannot create community.
Yeah,
Hell, they can't even walk up to you on campus and say hello. Yeah. Like, because you know from having me, if I'm going across campus, I don't care if you're orange, blue, you're from another planet. Hey, how you doing today? Yeah. And it's amazing how many people will
just look at you weird.
Who are you? You're not my teacher. Do you even teach here? And I'm like, no, I'm just another human being going down the highway here, giving you a greeting, you know, and maybe talking to you. Yeah. And a lot of these people don't, but we're going to get more into that in a minute. So a couple other things. Yes. Since this is the first time I've had you on, some of these statistics when I first started kind of blow me away. So I'm just curious what you think about this. Like 40% of people in your generation identify themselves as nones, N-O-N-E-S. In other words, I don't believe in anything. And so they're definitely not the New South Christians because they're the majority. And then you take on people who identify as atheists and agnostics, and all of a sudden you realize that there's really a smaller slice left behind. And then the problem with them is you have some, like I said, that they argue, I want to have a relationship with God, I want to have a true experience with him, and the church isn't going to do that for me. Now, they're going to give me the free donuts, the coffee, and a rock concert and all that kind of stuff, but they're not going to give me that spiritual relationship. And I think you're right. If you build the community, then it'll work. So people also say your generation, if they don't turn, will be the death of God or Jesus as we know it. So when you hear that, what do you think?
That's kind of like, I mean, it is kind of sad to hear, like, honestly. And I don't think, like, I think there's a lot of, like, church hurt. And also,
church hurt.
Yes, church hurt.
I was taught that early when I started doing this podcast. A young lady from Colorado kept talking about
Yeah.
church hurts, and I didn't know what that was.
And I've also kind of found that, like, I don't know, like, people are, in our generation, is very, like, closed-minded.
Really?
I feel like. I think a lot of people that I talk to about, like, especially coming, like, as a Christian, and I talk to someone that doesn't, like, know Jesus or doesn't know anything about them, they're very just like, no, I don't care. Like, they're very closed-minded, like, just closed off. Like, you can't, there's like a wall there that you can't get through.
Really?
And I honestly, like, I think about it sometimes and I still don't know. I think it all just comes back to how like, hypocritical the church can be. And I think it's really, like, it's really sad and it's upsetting, because I think people take what God says and they twist it into something that it's not, and they use it against other people to make themselves look better or feel better in a way.
One thing I was curious, how hard is it to create community at a church with, 8,000, 10? I don't know. There's a huge pile of people I know that go to Long Hollow.
There's so many groups.
Okay.
Like, they have, like, specific times that you meet. You could literally just walk in at the time that these groups meet and just join one.
Okay.
It's really not, you definitely have to put in the effort. Like, they're not just going to walk up to you and be like, hey, do you want to be in our group?
Hey,
or
Sarah,
like, hey,
you need to be in this group. Come with me.
Yes, like, they're like, and I think a lot of people think that that's how it should go. Like, a lot of people, you have to put in the effort and you have to want to do it for that to work out, you know?
Hey, I was going to ask you, do you ever watch The Chosen, or do you even know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I haven't watched it,
Man,
though.
I'm
I've
telling
heard that it's
you,
good, though.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I've watched it 4 or 5 times, and the new season's getting ready to come on where they crucified Jesus.
Yeah.
And I saw the interview with the gentleman, Rumi, that plays Jesus, and he was talking about how difficult it was to prepare for that, just as an actor to prepare for it, and how it took him days to overcome it. And I just thought, wow, that's pretty wild, because I know Easter's coming, and it's, if you're a Christian, that's one of the biggies. That's when the people that don't go all year show up, and you got to put out a good welcome mat for them as far as that goes. So anyway, is it hard to be a Christian and go to school nowadays in your generation?
Well, I think that if you're living out, it can be, but also there are people that call themselves Christians that, like, they don't, like, you can go to school and you can not talk to anyone. You can go to school and not tell anybody anything. But obviously I do think that if you truly are, like, you have been saved, like, that it shows out and through your character. And people notice that, obviously. But it really just depends on how you choose to live your life. If you choose to talk to people about God and stuff like that.
A couple quick things, and then we're going to move on to the other things. So you obviously believe in heaven and hell.
Yes.
So what's heaven to you? I always love to ask this, because everybody's got different versions.
I don't know. I feel like growing up, I always just thought, like, about, like, just like some, like, have you seen The Lion King?
Oh, yes.
Yes, like I forgot what they call it, like the promised land in The Lion King. I forgot what the actual name of it is.
So that's what you pictured?
That's what I pictured, like, growing up, but it's hard for me to even, like, imagine that. Like, I could imagine it being so many different things. But, like, they talk about in the Bible how, like, it's just, like, I don't even know. I just think it would be very just peaceful.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, how's hell?
Very bad.
Always bad. Well, good. That's good.
I
haven't had anybody sit there and go, boy, hell's a place I look forward to going. Streets of brown dust. It's all good.
And the thing is, I think that many people just picture, like, fire and all this stuff.
Yeah, brimstone.
But to be honest, I feel like it's just, like, this might sound kind of, like, dark, but I feel like it's just, like, a different version of, like, the world that we live in now.
Oh, okay.
So
we're going to have a pandemic. We're going to have it's all going to be happening at one time. We're all just going to suffer.
It's basically going to be the world that we live in now, but without God.
Yeah.
I think,
and
that's
I've had
what
a lot
I
of people sit there and say, if you remove God, that would be the worst.
Exactly.
You're removing love, peace, forgiveness. Like, on the way over here, I always try to look at some verses, not that I would use them, just thinking. And I always love, there's like The Chosen, there's one on about David right now. And David, he's just even though my name's David, he's a fascinating character. He does horrible stuff.
Yes.
I mean, man, he coveted another man's wife, sent him out, killed him in battle, came back, took her. I'm thinking, man, that's bad. But he immediately, got on his knees, asked God for grace and forgiveness and everything, and God always loved him and took him back. And I thought, man, I just got to stick with my namesake if I ever am real bad and see if I can hang on. So I don't know. I find it very fascinating.
Yeah.
So anyway, so how do you feel about religion in your generation? And then we'll move on.
I think
because you interact with these people, I only see them in class. So what do you think?
Well, I see a lot of I actually do see a lot of positives rather than a lot of people do focus on the negatives of like how our generation, like all I hear from older people is that we're all like, we're basically ruining the world. Our generation is, because all we do is like stare at our phones. We don't talk to anybody, which at a point it is true. But I think I do see especially at church, like in like fellow Christians like myself.
Sure.
I think that people are a lot more like outward with their faith than they used to be. Personally, I think so. Yeah. And I think that like has the potential to outweigh like a lot of negatives and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't think that it's all like that bad. Like I do like have hope for like our generation as far as that goes. But there's also, a bunch of different things that are like coming out that make it difficult, like that.
But you're part of such a huge generation, and I think there's such a disconnect. And as far as, the way we reach out and communicate to each other, which brings me to what I really wanted to talk about today after we get to this. And it's just so everybody knows, Sarah and I have talked about this some with other people in our class. I think a bunch of people either got there early or late or something. We started talking about it. And then we noticed it around campus is, how does your generation date, meet people? I mean, college to me was fun. I mean, I met people in every class. And I'd say, hey, you want to go out? You want to go out? And I was telling Sarah, going out at MTSU when I was in school, because nobody had a ton of money and anything, but it was a big campus. And so there were lots of free stuff you could go to. And everybody else that you knew was going to be there. So it wasn't, it was just a great way.
Yeah.
But then I had a huge extroverted personality. And so I saw every class as an opportunity to find love. And I proudly say, was rather successful for my time that I was there. And I enjoyed it, but I love the people I met. A lot of them I've stayed friends with.
Yeah.
Now I come to Vol State, I get to know people like you, and then we sit around and talk about it sometimes if we get a chance. It sounds horrific. This is horrible.
No,
So what went wrong? What's the problem?
I think about that every day. I really don't know.
Okay, well, we got to figure this out, because we got depression, we got suicidal tendencies, anxiety, and a lot of it stems around a lot of people. The male students that I know, I don't know how to talk to them. They want to interview me. They ask me a few questions, and if I don't answer right, the date's over, and I'm like, golly, you don't even get out of the driveway.
Yeah. I think that the internet has definitely done a lot more harm than good, but probably I would take a different approach to it than most people would.
Okay.
People use the internet so much to talk about other people. So like people will like share like their experiences with, like interacting with other people.
Okay.
Obviously, rejection is a part of life.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
That's something else I was going to talk about.
People use the internet to like, I guess, just make fun of people. I guess, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like,
well, that can't go very well into trying to meet somebody to date.
No, exactly. And I think that people, like, see all of this stuff and, like, all the, like, people have too much time to think, They think too much about, what would someone say? What is someone going to do? How are they going to act like this?
Instead of just letting them be them.
And, instead of just doing it. I think there are so many, as opposed to like whenever you were younger to whenever like to this generation, there are so many outside factors that are playing into it that I think that have like closed people off to like meeting new people.
Well, I just read a great article in the Wall Street Journal. It said Gen Z, which there's 80-something million of you, #1 rejected generation. Rejected in dating, rejected in getting into college, and rejected in getting a job. It's all rejection. And I'm thinking, what is wrong? Well, I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I think also people are becoming a lot more independent and rejecting traditional I guess,
I got
values
rejected
and
a lot
stuff
in
like
college.
that.
It
Yeah.
wasn't that I was perfect.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? I just looked around and went, well, there's a couple of hundred other people here. Maybe there's one that won't reject me.
Yeah.
It never really bothered me that much.
I don't know. And I think a lot of people try to relate it back to the pandemic. Like a lot of people, but I really don't understand that either.
Why would the pandemic be connected to rejecting
Yeah,
me?
well, I think a lot of people relate like the struggle to like find relationships back to the pandemic because of how we were isolated and stuff like that. But I really think at the end of the day, like everybody, like that's like one of the main things that God created us for was relationships and community.
Okay, so give me an example. So you're a Ball State student,
Yes.
you're going across campus. My style was I met more dates in the library than any other place I was because it's quiet and empty as you, and I'd be sitting there, and invariably somebody would come in and they would be like, hey, do you know where this is? Do you know where this is? And man, right away, yeah, I'll show you where it is. The next thing, well, how are you doing? Who are you? And then, just go from there. And, I wasn't like a library stalker. I wasn't going to try to attack you. But it was just a way to get to know people in a real quiet atmosphere. And if they seemed interested, you'd follow up on it. If not, you see them leaving the library, you say goodbye. And that's it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I completely
how hard
agree with
is
you.
that?
It's really
That's
not
so
that hard.
easy.
And I agree. I think that it's I think that's how it should be.
Right.
But also
but why are these guys telling me, and I'm going to throw it, since I'm a guy representing the males, since they're not here right now, they say you're the problem.
See, that doesn't make, I really don't understand how,
that you have,
so
I mean,
all
the guy likened it to this. You pull up in the driveway, and it's like, before you even leave the driveway, I'll give you some examples. Well, let's talk about LGBTQ rights.
Yeah.
Do you support that or not? Okay, so it's like a checklist. Oh, Sarah, I gave the wrong answer. Gone. I mean, and you just go down this list of things. And
so
if you
guys
don't,
are saying that we're perfectionists?
yeah,
Is that what
and
they're
you
saying?
have a certain set of things, and if I don't share your political, your environmental values or whatever, then there's no point in driving out of the driveway. Let's all save our time and money and move on, and maybe I can find somebody else this evening. I mean, I find that just bizarre.
I find that bizarre as well. I'm not like that whatsoever.
But do you feel like women are overly judgmental and everything? Or, well, let's be honest. I have you in class. There's more women since 1980 in college than men. Men are falling behind economically. As head of household, men are falling behind. Men in church, I mean, almost every category, men are falling behind further and further and further. I don't know. I guess they go out on a date and they're inferior to begin with, and I guess it just manifests itself. I mean, how do you judge whether a guy deserves even a second date? Do you put them through a ringer where they got to check boxes? And
I think it's all about how we connect. Like I don't want to talk about my political views and all this crap on the first date. I like to see how the conversation flows. Like if I can have a good conversation with somebody, then I'll get to know you.
A sense of humor?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But I also think that a lot of the in the most respectful way possible, a lot of the guys that I meet are extremely insecure.
I think that's a good observation.
Very extremely insecure. And I think that's very off-putting for women in general.
Okay, well, let me ask you real quick. So why do you think so many men are coming across insecure? Because I know when I was growing up and I was in your age range, you know what we have been told our whole life? Man, you have all the advantages. You have the economic advantages. You go to church, the women will submit graciously. A lot of men.
See, that's what I thought.
Men had all these advantages and stuff. Well, then I started teaching. And I found out the men have fallen behind academically, socially, self-esteem, and I mean, almost every category of negativity, they are insecure.
I think that I think a lot of it may have been generationally. A lot of things have been handed to men, and they haven't had to work for it.
Right.
Especially
I think there's some truth to that.
And I think I am not necessarily saying that women have more rights than, or that men have more rights than women in a sense. But I'm saying that as I know my dad expects more out of me than he expects out of my brother.
And that, I used to teach high school at Hendersonville and Portland, seniors. I would see that with brothers and sisters all the time. The brother could be a CD student, play football,
but
blah,
he
blah,
plays
blah.
football,
Yeah, and then, I got to go see him play football. You would be his sister. You'd be in my AP economics class, my AP government class in your spring semester of your senior year. and you're smart, engaging, and self-confident. He's not.
And I think that's hurting like the men in our generation, that the fact that they're not having to like work for, you know, like work for anything. How can you build any sort of self-esteem when everything is handed to you?
Well, do you think a lot of men are intimidated by the women today?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think also that men think that we expect too much out of them, but I don't think that that's necessarily like, there's a bare minimum, you know, like, I don't know how to explain it.
The bare minimum.
Like, we
Fetch my tea. That's the bare minimum.
We expect more than the bare minimum, but like, that they don't know where the threshold is. It's either really bad or like way too much. There's no in between.
I don't know. It is kind of sad, you
Yeah.
know, because don't get me wrong, there's great guys we have in class.
Oh, yeah,
but
of course.
It's amazing because I get to stand up there and talk, and of course, I'm watching everything. And sometimes, knowing I was going to do this podcast, so I found myself the last couple of days kind of looking at them while we're in class, and it is just so amazing to see how docile and withdrawn and disconnected. They don't know the people around them.
Yeah.
They don't engage with guys. They don't engage with women. I mean, if there was anybody in our class that seemed to be showing any interest in the opposite sex, they have done the best job ever hiding it. Because there's no affection in that room for anybody or anything. And I don't know, we started off with almost 40 people, pretty much evenly balanced. And I'm like, that's just sad, man.
Yeah.
They don't even seem engaging at all.
Our class is very interesting. I would
It's
definitely.
odd.
It's very.
I like them, but strange as it gets, you know.
No, but I think.
But
like,
are they a representative sample, what you see in your other classes?
100%, yeah.
So all the other classes, nobody's asking anybody out, nobody's showing any kind of affection or macho or any kind of aggressiveness toward the opposite sex?
I've been in like one or two classes where it's been like that. But
So that's
like
a love
all
class,
the other ones, it's just not, yeah.
Well, so what does that make you think of? I mean, I also think about it like this. If college is the best place, and a lot of periodicals will tell you, it's the perfect place to meet lots of people.
Yes.
Like because you're talking about going to MTSU,
Yes.
23,000 people. There'll be tons of people commuting in, tons of people live there, tons of people have their own apartments. You're going to be in some bigger classes and stuff. Shoo, get in there and wheel and deal and meet people. But if you're at Vol State and you can't engage people in this smaller environment,
how are you going to do it?
How are you going to do it in that larger environment?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Vol State is a perfect place to start. Like, it's so
get your
perfect.
training wheels on, get your motor, get your groove on.
Not just like, not just even communicating with people, but also like your education, because it's so more like personal and one-on-one. I would probably learn 10 times more in the classes that I'm in right now here than I would at a bigger university.
Yeah, because you can, I mean, like in my class, not to brag, but I mean, you obviously can sit somewhere and talk to me, and you can see me outside of class. We're not a huge campus, so that's when we walk by. Well, let me ask you a couple other things, because I've been curious about this leading up to this. So you're looking at a campus and you're thinking, okay, if this is where, and I've had young ladies and men say this to me. Well, I was looking forward to coming over here, leaving my high school, because he had been to school and she had been to school with them for so long. It was almost like you were related. So you'd never think about dating them. And they said, you know, I'd make friends like you and Chloe. That I'd make friends that, you know, I maybe meet people to date. So let's just do friends. That way we don't put the pressure of dating. You guys don't make friends with each other either. What the heck is the deal with that?
People do not talk. I've been in
I mean, but seriously, how do you sit, you know, I do this in class all the time. How do I sit next to people, like we've had people for almost a whole year now, and they still don't know who they are. They still don't talk to them.
I try
it's
to
weird.
like, in every class that I'm in, I try to know at least the people that are sitting like beside me, like to
within
the
like
left
2
or
feet
right,
of
or
you.
like because they're like the professors do make you talk to people in your class. But I found that whenever you try to continue that conversation or follow up, they're just like. And I'm just like, okay, so.
Well, what are they looking at?
Exactly.
So they're just staring off.
No, they're like it's like I found that people do not know how to hold a conversation, and I think that's because people are so worried about what other people are going to think of them. If people would just be themselves, they would make so many more friends. Like nobody cares. At the end of the day, like if you say something that I don't like, or if you say something that I'm just like, oh, I'm just like you know.
So how do you create community then? I mean, because everything I read about, whether you're a Christian or not, It's like, how do you create Christian community at Ball State? Well, it's the same as creating community. Like we went to that job fair the other day, and that older gentleman, was sharing with you some things. I mean, that is so basic bread and butter.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's so simple. But I'm sitting
They
there,
make it out to
other
seem like
than
it's so
you
hard.
and a couple other people that I've got this semester, I don't think any of them would have even talked to this elderly gentleman. And I'm thinking, and the girl's sitting there going, well, it's a good internship. It's easy. It really helps you and this and that. And I'm thinking, and we've got people that won't even lift a finger to say hello to a person 2 feet from them for a year. And I'm like, so what's going to happen to MTSU?
It's bad.
It's not going to turn out to
No.
be good. And then what happens in your interview?
It's awful. I literally.
Yeah, it's really sad.
I'm doing a speech right now on. Well, I'm doing a speech on AI in the classroom.
Oh yeah, okay.
But like I kind of touch on like I did some research on how like AI is taking over like a lot of our jobs. Like by the time we graduate, there's going to be a lot of jobs that aren't needed because of AI, but every employer is looking for people that have critical thinking skills and know how to interact with other people and like
communicate.
And so
Simple.
it's so easy, and I'm like, and it's important to be like informed on that. Like it's like students don't understand that like we have to talk to people in the real world. Like, do you want to sit at a desk and talk to nobody? That's not how that works. You know what I mean?
But it's the same way as we're talking the first half when we were here talking about trying to reach out as a Christian to other people. It's the same skills. It's saying you have a heart for it, identify as a Christian. So what is my job? Love others, try to serve, get to know them. Well, those are the same skills that we're talking about simply using here.
Yeah.
And so as we get closer to the end, the thing that I'm the most, I guess, nervous or sad about is if you don't have a relationship, not only with God, because that's just my personal preference, but let's say if you don't find a relationship with another person, I mean, we're supposed to have relationships with each other.
We were created for that, yes.
And to not have that, there are students that I've gotten to know since I'm here. I mean, they'll almost come into your office and cry about it.
No, it's true.
They're very depressed. They're very sad, which is going to lead to the professor from the psychology department is going to come over here in a week or two and talk about suicide, depression, anxiety, as it specifically relates to not having a relationship. So you're sitting here telling me you want a relationship. Most of the people you encounter here want relationships. The young men I talk to want relationships, but there seems like hardly anybody knows how to do it. Are we supposed to have a class, relationships 101? Or, I mean, what do we do?
I really think that it doesn't even take that many people. Somebody like the ice just needs to be broken in some way, shape, form, or another.
Well, tell the Chloe story, because I screwed it up whenever we went to
Yes,
Cave.
okay.
But I got the right idea.
You got the right idea, but you did like flip-flop it.
Okay. So use that as an example of what happened in our class, because I seriously thought you were friends with her.
No. See,
and I didn't realize that.
Everyone that meets me and Chloe thinks that we've been friends like forever.
Right.
I literally did not know who she was until last semester.
Yeah.
And so I found like, you know how everyone like picks their seats like at the beginning of the class.
Yeah,
like
everybody's got territory.
So someone was sitting in the seat that I would normally sat in, so I just sat in another one, and it was behind Chloe, and I was not wearing these shoes, but I was wearing different shoes, and didn't talk the whole class. We got up, and I think she looked down, and she said, oh, like I love, like your shoes are so cute, and I was like, oh, thank you, and I can't remember, like we just like, just easy conversation, just like, like, hey, like, what's your name, blah, 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 like, where'd you, like, what's your major, like, all just basic conversation.
Yeah, very basic.
And so we ended up just walking around campus and talking for, like, 10 minutes, and I got her number, and, like, we just ended up talking in class every single time we, like, met in class. We talked over the phone, and then we started, like, hanging out, and now we're, like, really good friends.
Yeah.
It's really, like, it's like, people, I think, and I think people think, like, especially guys, as far as meeting women, they have to be like they put so much pressure on it, and their expectation of a response.
Right.
You could just say like, oh, I really like your pants today, or oh, I really like your hair looks good today. That's all you have to say, and you can walk away. You don't and leave it up to the woman Or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you don't have to, like, there is no pressure on it. Like it starts with like 3 words,
Right.
and just leave it at that. Like,
Yeah.
and then let her respond. If she doesn't respond, and I think even vice versa, like women like can do that, and it works in like in friendships as well.
Sure.
People put so much pressure on conversations when it's really not that. It's not that deep.
And the reason why this is so important from my perspective is we used to have a really engaged cafeteria life. Everybody
told me
ate
about
lunch
that.
over there.
Yeah.
It was packed. And that's where I got to know students so
Yeah.
well, because hey, you mind if I sit up? Of course, I'd love to. Let's
Yeah.
eat and talk. And it's really weird how, we don't have that now because of
Yeah.
the cafeteria situation. But students who do that, who reach out, because they used to talk about apps all the time, but there's like a big revolt now against the apps. A lot of people don't find that as the way to really meet people.
Against dating apps?
Yeah.
Oh,
In other
okay.
words, it's gotten totally out of hand and crazy that, you're not connected, you're not talking to a person,
No.
you're not reading them. Like you're sitting in a room reading other people's personalities and how they behave, et cetera.
Yeah.
But you can't do that on an app.
No.
And that the apps have been taken over by what's called the beautiful people. That's a way to just validate yourself and my
Yeah.
ego and just, feed me.
Oh, yeah.
But we're never going to get together.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are wanting to go back to the old school way, but how do you do that? So
Like,
how do you go?
like-
In other words, I've been in this app world trying to date. It's been a total failure. How do I go backwards to the traditional world that seems to be totally fragmented from apps?
I really just think it has to do with just having conversations with people and not putting so much pressure on it. Whenever
Yeah.
you have all these expectations and you put pressure on all of, like, it just comes off weird and not
Okay.
in like a natural way,
All right.
if that makes sense.
All right.
I think people just need to be more intentional about
Okay.
getting to know people and having meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, what's your name? What's your major? What's your favorite color? Like, nobody cares.
Where do you work? What do you do?
Like, nobody, like, that's so surface level. If people,
Yeah.
like, it's really, if people would just be more intentional
Yeah.
and just, like, kind of relax and
Yeah.
not put so much pressure on it, I think naturally that stuff just
Right.
works out, like,
Yeah.
the way that it's intended to.
I think you're right. All right, now, before we leave, we
Yeah.
always leave on a positive note. So tell me, what's 4 or 5 years from now, who is Sarah?
Oh, 4 or 5 years from now?
So you've graduated from MTSU. Where do you see yourself? I mean, are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'm pretty,
Yeah. So
I'm pretty
you feel
optimistic.
good, you're going to
yeah.
move on, you're going to
Yeah.
have this great life, whatever. So
Yeah.
5, 6 years from now, where is this great Sarah person?
Well, I really want, I really, like, want to be married and have kids. That's, like, one thing that I really
so
want.
Tyler's not the only one.
No, I do. Like, I'm very, like, family oriented. I definitely want a family.
Really?
But I think, like, I wanted to wait till after I graduate.
Sure,
For that.
absolutely.
Like, but I guess I just see myself, like, graduating and just finding a good job, like, just that's stable, that I enjoy doing. And I'm hoping to be married by, or not married, but looking to be married
you're
by
close.
that. Yeah,
You've
like,
met
yeah.
something. Just to remind you before we go is, you remember at Cave when we did the thing on
Yes,
Valentine's? Do you remember Clay?
yes. yeah.
Okay, well, Clay's wife, they just started their first business together. It's going to open, I think, in April.
Okay.
And she's going to sell wedding dresses.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he does, I think, either cost accounting or finance. At a
Okay,
pretty
yeah.
good level.
Yeah.
He just got promoted again for like 3rd or 4th time, so he's doing real well. And I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
that
'cause
is cool.
I kept thinking, I don't know, man, is traditional marriage and a wedding dress still in? And he says it is.
Yeah.
So he's real excited. I mean, they're nervous. They put up a lot of money.
Really?
They put up the equity on their home. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
ooh, they've gone way
Yeah.
out on a limb. And like, but it's also cool to see former students taking risks. Because I can remember him not doing the podcast, but I remember having him and Chad and them and just the other guy that was there, and it's Caleb. It's just so weird to see people in class and then fast forward 5 or 6
Yeah.
years and to see them all doing well,
Yep.
which is really cool. So, and I definitely see that with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, all right. Well, hey, that's enough. I think we're on the right path. We'll have to bring in the professor to nail it, though, to
Yeah.
actually get it. Because the one thing we didn't talk about is that a lot of these people that don't find relationships do become suicidal, depressing, and anxious.
I believe
and man, if we don't fix that,
Yeah.
Forget the national debt. When people kill themselves, we got bigger problems than that. So anyway,
Yeah.
well, anyway, thanks for having Sarah on. I really appreciate it. The juices are flowing now. So we'll have a few more people and then we'll go from there. So God bless you and have a happy day.